Green Archer Comics is reviving a public domain hero, the Press Guardian, but I thought it would be fun to have a look at the history of the original Press Guardian before telling you where we are taking the character. By the way, if you're watching this video when it's first released, the Kickstarter is still active and we'd love your support. Check for the link in the description. The Press Guardian first appeared in Pep Comics number 1, January of 1940. The strip ran for the first 11 issues of Pep Comics, with the final appearance being in Pep Comics number 11, January of 1941. Pep Comics was an anthology-style comic, so the Press Guardian stories were typically 5 to 6 pages. The first Press Guardian was written and illustrated by Jack Binder, and it was a convoluted mess, to be honest. The Press Guardian in issue 1 was also known as the Falcon, and he aided the Daily Express, but wasn't employed by the Daily Express. The main reporter in the first issue is Flash Calvert. The Falcon appeared to have the ability to fly, but it was not really confirmed. He does have wings on his suit, and honestly, he looks a little more like a peacock than a falcon, but Falcon's cooler than the peacock, I guess. Nevertheless, he saves the day and the Daily Express gets the story. Fortunately, Mort Meskin took over for the Press Guardian, starting with the second issue and throughout the rest of its short run. In addition to being a talented artist, Mort was an excellent storyteller, and he had experience as a journalist, making his stories a little more grounded. Meskin graduated from the Art Students League of New York and the Pratt Institute in 1938. From there, he went to work for Eisner and Iger. He worked to supply comics that were bundled together to produce full comic books for publishers like Pep, looking to get into the comic book market. In addition to the Press Guardian, Meskin wrote The Midshipman for Pep Comics. He also illustrated Sheena, Queen of the Jungle, Captain Valor, Tygor, and he is probably best known for his long-running work on the comic book Johnny Quick. Close to my heart, he also illustrated a number of covers for leading comics featuring the Green Arrow as part of the 7 Soldiers of Victory run from issues 1 through 14, starting in December of 1941 and running through 1942. To be honest, some of those stories are hit and miss, but his covers are really well done. They hold up even today. They're a little more simpler than what we expect from a modern cover, but the colors really shine through, and he looks like he loved the source material. There's a lot of care that went into these covers, and again, while maybe not anything compared to a modern cover, for the covers of the day, they are really, really good. To be honest, Meskin deserves a video all to himself for his early impact on comics. He and Steve Ditko were big admirers of each other. And if you would like to see a video on the life and the work of Meskin and the impact that he had on the comics industry and still has today with the people that he's inspired, let me know in the comments, and I'm more than happy to put together something like that. I think he's an interesting person, and I don't think enough people talk about him. There are a couple of excellent books that have been written that show off his artwork, but broadly, I don't think he gets the recognition that he so richly deserves for everything that he's contributed to the industry. But let's get back to the Press Guardian. The only thing that carried over from issue 1 to issue 2 of the Press Guardian was the name of the paper, the Daily Express. In issue 2, the Press Guardian is Perry Chase, playboy son of the Daily Express publisher. None of the reporters or even his father suspect that Perry is the Press Guardian, and they certainly do not respect his skill as a reporter. So he's relegated to the Society page, which is the perfect cover for his superhero activities. And there's a big difference in the tone from the first issue to the second issue and in the way that the newspaper runs. Again, I think that the experience that Meskin had working in a newsroom kind of shines through a little bit more in the second issue through the 11th issue. In issue 2, the Press Guardian must take on the Moronia Bund. Moronia is one of those fake countries often used in comic books, but the only well-known Bund, which is a name for a group or an organization, was the German-American Bund, which was a Nazi organization based in the United States. This is certainly an obscure reference today. It likely would have been top of mind to readers in 1940. It certainly was to Meskin, who was Jewish and included many anti-Nazi messages in his comics. So, in effect, issue 2 and issue 3, which is part 2 of issue 2, is a time for the Press Guardian to battle Nazis without using the term Nazis. And I think it's a great way to kind of get that out there without being completely obvious about it. Very well done. The leader of the Moronia Bund, Von Leo, is threatening to destroy the Daily Express for writing about the Bund's activities. But the Daily Express won't be cowed, which means Von Leo has no choice to blow up the paper. Now, admittedly, the bomb that he uses in this is literally a Looney Tunes round bomb with a fuse on it, but it still is the point of the Press Guardian where he is protecting the Daily Express, and that again keeps coming back as a plot point in all of the issues. The Press Guardian disrupts his plot and Von Leo shoots him, which leads to an interesting feature of the Press Guardian. He might be bulletproof, but it is never explicitly stated that he is. Instead, when the bullets don't affect him, he always comes back with a quip of some sort. In this issue, he says, "You'll have to get better ammunition than that." And this is a running theme throughout the rest of the 11-issue run. Bad guy shoots the Press Guardian, the bullets bounce off, or at least don't impact him, and he makes a quip. Another theme that runs through the run of the Press Guardian is emphasizing that Perry Chase is viewed as a bit of a dude. The early 1900s sense of being overly concerned with clothes, appearance, and manners. This isn't just reflected in the way the rest of the employees at the paper treat him, but also in the opening descriptions of him. Unsurprisingly, the Press Guardian took some cues from the Green Hornet, who was incredibly popular at the time the strips ran, including in issue 3 the introduction of his faithful valet Baldwin, who is the only one who knew his secret identity. Like many of the anthologized comics of the time, the Press Guardian did try to maintain some continuity. It certainly helped that Meskin wrote and illustrated all of the comics. In issue 4, we see that Cynthia Blake, the woman rescued in issue 2, is now Perry Chase's assistant, and she does know his identity, making 2 people are aware of who he is. Unfortunately, as is common for the area, Cynthia Blake's primary role seems to be kidnapped and rescued by the Press Guardian. We do see other powers aside from being bulletproof occasionally mentioned and forgotten, such as in issue 4, which discusses his sensitive hearing. I think sometimes Meskin was torn between gangster fighting heroes of the 1930s, such as the Green Hornet and the Clock, and superheroes that were taking off. For the most part, though, the Press Guardian fought most of his battles with his fists. Some of those battles still resonate today. While he did have his recurring arch-villain, the Claw, the more interesting stories to me revolved around other topics, such as in issue 6, when the nation of Sharonia attempts a disinformation campaign against the nation of Lanphia, or episode 11, which revolves around essentially a phishing campaign via postal mail. After Meskin took over the Press Guardian, the stories were sharper and had more depth than many of the prepackaged comics of the time. It is a shame the Press Guardian wasn't given more of a chance to succeed. In fact, the final issue ended with a statement that the Press Guardian would be back next month, something that was never to happen. Well, approximately 1,004 months too late, the Press Guardian is returning. The new Press Guardian is the granddaughter of the original Press Guardian, and she is even named after him, Perry Chase. We want to keep some of the quirky elements of the original, like being bulletproof, and that iconic green and red outfit, which is timeless. But we also want to ground the stories in real events of the world, which unfortunately includes still fighting Nazis. The truth is, the press is under attack around the world, and there are real challenges to keeping the Fourth Estate alive and healthy. Our comics can't change those challenges, but we can bring awareness to them in a unique way. We can also honor the original Press Guardian and ensure that it gets remembered for the stories it told, the iconic character it gave us, and the incredibly talented Mort Meskin who created the concept. We hope you'll enjoy the comic, and if you have any feedback, as always, let us know. Thank you.